Okay, a third type of compound statement that we're going to add to our repertoire here. We've got the and statements, we've got the or statements. We're going to add to it what are so-called conditional statements, and you can see why they're called conditional statements because the statements we're talking about here are if-then statements. If something, then something type of statements. That's what a condition. So if this condition, then this happens. Okay, so good name for those conditions, conditional statements. If I study, then I will make an A. Now, the thing about, oh, okay. I'll mention that in a second. Now, the notation for, how did I do that? All right. So I was talking and writing. If I study, then I make an A. The notation for the conditional is this, all right? So you got two, this is our P, this is our Q, right? That's the way we go. All right, so the notation is, we use the arrow, P, arrow, Q. That's going to be the negation of a P, if P, then Q statement. So that's how you convert it over to symbols. If P, then Q. So it's a little something different than the and the or. Okay? All right, now, one of the quirks, I guess you might say, of conditional statements, unlike the and and the or, is sometimes you leave words out, but it's still a conditional statement. In other words, you may not have both if and then in the statement, but it's still a conditional statement. Let me give you an example. If it rains, it pours. Is that an if-then statement? It's got the if, the then is missing. However, there's an understood then. There's an understood word there. Yeah, sometimes we leave that word then out in an if-then statement, but it's still an if-then statement, okay? And what they'll have you do is take some of these and write it in, all right, so let's write that in proper if-then form. Conditional form. So this one, it's easy. You just have to put in the word then. If it rains, then it pours. Now, they can get trickier than that. That was pretty simple, but they can get a little trickier. One thing that can get trickier about it is this. I can go to the movies if I finish work. Finish work. That's an if-then statement. What would it be in if-then form? Standard form. Let me see what they call it in the book here. They may word it somewhat differently. Yeah. Write each statement using the if-then connective. All right, so it's so they might use that word, if-then connective. Write it in if-then form or with the if-then connective. So the tricky part about this one is, which part is the if part? The last part, isn't it? Yeah, you know, in traditional if-then form, the then part's last. However, sometimes in our language here, we switch it up. We put the if part at the end. Well, that's still the if part. So if I write it in if-then form or in the if-then connective, it's if I finish working. That's the if part, right? It's got the if right there. So if I finish working, then I can go, I'm having trouble here today, then I can go to the movies. All right? So pay attention to that. The if part may be the last part. All right. Now, open it up a little more even. It turns out this statement also can be if-then. All right. All, I have one in mind here. All grass is green in the spring. All grass is green in the spring. Did I write it right? I'm not trusting myself. All grass is green in the spring. Yeah. That can be written if-then. Is there an if-then in it at all? Nothing about if-then in there. However, it can be written in if-then form. So here's how this works. When you have a statement like an all statement, we'll do a no statement as well. Okay? The way you do it is you identify, there's two, you got to break it up into two parts. And in this case, there's two parts. The two parts are you got grass and you got green in the spring. Okay? So that, we'll have to do some rewording, I guess you might say, but those are the two things that are represented here. So that's how we're going to break this into an if-then. If, so here's how it goes. If it is grass, then it is green in the spring. Okay? So, yeah, you just have to pick out the two things that are there. Just for another one, could be like every integer is a real number. Every integer is a real number. Well, what are the two things we got there? We got integer and we got real number. All right? If it's an integer, then it's a real number. Okay? Question or concern? Yes, sir.
Could you make the statement, if it's spring, then the grass is green?
We'll talk about reordering it like that. Sometimes you can, some ways you can, some ways you can't. So hold that thought. Okay. On those, I would keep it in the same order. But yeah, there's possibilities.
Okay.
Okay. Now, even a little trickier is this one. No pigs can fly. Let's write that in if-then form. No pigs can fly. First of all, let me point out there, this is a true statement, isn't it? Unless you put a pig on an airplane, I guess, but that's a true statement. No pigs can fly. So I would want a statement that's also, logically speaking, true, okay? So keep that in mind in this if-then form. The thing about this one is, we've got to include that no in this. However, if I put, if it is not a pig, then it can fly, this is not it, so I'm just pointing out here. Won't work. Because, like I said, that one I agree with. Not so much there, right? If it's not a pig, it can fly. A cow, a dog. Yeah, not being a pig doesn't mean you can fly, right? So that is not logically equivalent to that. With me? It turns out to make this logically equivalent, the no part needs to go with the second part here. If it is a pig, then it cannot fly. So again, put that no, the negation part on the second part. Works with any no statement like that. To use another kind of mathematical one, I guess. No, let's say, no fractions are irrational. May or may not want to know what that means, but the point is we're putting it in if-then form, and so this is this no one, and so what part does that no go with? Well, it would go with the irrational part. If it's a fraction, then it is not irrational. So, whether you know what that means or not, the no part goes with the last part. Okay? So that's the way you do that. There's other possibilities, but like I said, that's a general rule of thumb. Do it. All right, any problems or concerns on that? Okay.